Now, we did mention Zalae, and he does have an opportunity to salvage the last parts of his season as well, as he is going up against Rase. But more importantly, Zalae can score a W for his buddy Purple, because if you look at the standings, which we'll pull up in a second here, Rase and Purple are tied at 7-5 apiece. So if Zalae plays the spoiler, he will ruin Race's record into 7-6, which means that at best he could tie Purple if Purple wins.
Yeah.
And then Purple has the head-to-head, or sorry, Race has the head-to-head edge?
Yeah, so...
For Purple, right?
Right now, Race has the head-to-head. So basically how this works out, if Race beats Zalae in this matchup, he's almost guaranteed the final playoff spot. Because then Purple can win his next matchup, and they'd both be at 8-5. But the head-to-head, if Race would win, then he would have every single tiebreaker. If Purple loses his next match, then he is guaranteed out. Even if Race loses this match.
Yes.
Because if Race wins and Purple loses, then Race is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Race will have the tiebreaker over Purple if they're tied at the end of the season, almost regardless. Because Purple can, at the very most, tie Race in the head-to-head. They'd be 1-1 if he wins, and Race would almost guaranteed have the tiebreaker too. So Purple has to rely on actually just having a better record than Race.
Okay.
Which means
So just keep winning out, but
keep winning out and hoping Race loses.
Yeah, Zalae can have an opportunity to help influence the player Race.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into game number 1 here. I believe it is the Warrior Mirror. This is our only Warrior Mirror for today.
Bring it on!
And more importantly though, we get to see Race's facial expression.
Yeah. No. He's so expressive in the craziest ways for the most mundane of things.
Well, it seems mundane, but to the players, when they're trying to search for every 1% increase of their probability for their odds, it matters a lot to them.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that when you see them react to something seemingly mundane, there's a very good chance that most likely they're seeing something that we are not. It's like, oh, they missed a damage here. Or, oh, like, I thought that their hand strength, like, based off the way they're playing, I was reading that their hand had this and it didn't have it. That means I can do this, And those kinds of reactions are pretty important. But I do have to say that some players go a little bit too far over. One criticism that I've heard of RDU, and this is not like something that's really, aggressive towards him, but it's like the fact that he wears his emotions on his sleeves too much. And players in the matches toward Vegas were saying like, yeah, like every time I went up against RDU, I felt like I knew his entire hand, because every time he reacted with like putting his hand in his face or like kind of showing his eyes wide open based off a card being played, it's like, wow, I feel like I know what you don't have, and more importantly, I feel like I know what you do have now.
Yeah, yeah. It happens a lot, and talking with players at Vegas, that was one of the topics of conversation that came up a lot, like in between rounds when we were waiting for rounds, is that, oh, my opponent, I can just tell whenever he drew Dr. Boo. Like, even like small things like that, like he would look at his mulligan and go, yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the emotions. That's what makes it really fun. That's why we have cameras take up 30% of the real estate on your screen, because the human element of Hearthstone matters. You look at other esports, like they have the game screen take up 90% plus. Maybe a very small corner has all the cams.
Yeah.
But part of what makes Hearthstone engaging is the element and the relatability to when you see something happen. So we love it, but some players will capitalize on that information.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Well, getting into this matchup, the big difference is that Zalae's playing Bomb Warrior and Race is playing Control Warrior. The good thing for Zalae is that he does have Archivist Elysiana in his primary deck, so advantage in game 1 definitely goes to Zalae. They have very similar decks, except Race has very situational additional control tools, and Zalae has bombs. So if you consider they're both even in how many cards they can generate with their deck, and Zalae has way more damage, then advantage Zalae. It gets really complicated when you consider secondary tertiary decks, because Zalae has a pressure-oriented tertiary deck, and Rase has Mecha'thun in his secondary deck. So that's where it kind of gets weird. Rase in this primary matchup is just going to try to maximize the value from his removal, maximize his ability to gain life to try and offset the bomb damage, and then hope that his Archivist Elysiana can get him through the late stages of the game if he survives bombs long enough.
Yeah, or if there's enough bombs in the bottom portion of the deck that Archivist Elysiana replaces it entirely with a new deck. Because then you don't draw those bombs and you gain 20, 30 life. Very important.
What now?
For now, though, Control Warrior is the passive player here. They don't really have that many good ways to pressure. Ironically enough, their best tools of pressure are their removal tools, like Dynamatic and Omega Devastator, because they are mechs. They're harder to remove. But they're not exactly good tools right now, even. Like, so if Rase plays the Omega Devastator in this spot, I mean, and Zalae has a second Militia Commander, then you just gave your opponent a value trade and they have tempo. So this is a tricky spot for Rase because his instincts is probably telling him to develop, but based off the way the matchup tends to go, Control Warrior just plays very defensive. He is going for this Omega Devastator, and he has seen a Militia Commander already, but I think Rase is just not optimistic about it. He's like, okay, I'm going to throw this out. I don't expect it to do that much, but if it does, good for me. And more importantly, I'm going to stop Zalae from being able to pick up the initiative, which I think is the right call.
Yeah, and I guess you can consider two benefits of this play. One, if Omega Devastator removes something that he would have Omega Devastated in the late game, it's even. And in that scenario, two, if Zalae has a dead hand and can't really play anything or remove it, Rase can make up some of the damage difference or can gain back some of the disadvantage that he has by not being the bomb warrior in this matchup. And this is kind of this is going to be a lot different of a matchup than you're probably used to if you've just been watching Grandmasters and have seen all of our warrior mirrors, because almost all of our warrior mirrors have been bomb warrior versus bomb warrior, which players are not afraid to draw cards. You know, they're playing for tempo the entirety of the game. In this game, I don't think players really want to draw cards, or at least Rase, because he has to maximize his ability to fight in fatigue.
Sure.
Despite all of the additional damage that Zalae has in his deck. So things like Acolyte of Pain end up sometimes becoming a liability, because if you accelerate your draw, then Zalae not only has fatigue advantage, but he also has damage advantage. So it becomes kind of an awkward situation if you think about it like that.
That belongs in a museum.
Zalae picking the Wedge Caliber, attacking to the 4-2. That's pretty strong recognition that his life total is a lot more liberal to play with. Zalae doesn't have to worry about the health differential. A lot of times in Bomb Warrior mirrors, you have to be mindful of, okay, if I take too much damage, it's like as if I already took 2 bombs worth of damage being drawn. So Zalae, recognizing Rase doesn't have those bombs, a lot more liberal to play with his life total and go for the swing. Rase, of course, not happy to see the Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
Physical pain.
Oh. He goes through the 7 stages of grief. Or is it 5? It's 7. It's Dr. Boom. The 7 stages of grief.
7 stages of grief.
1 for each boom bot. So Rase has the initiative.
I wonder.
However, anything he plays walks directly into a Warpath, which might make me feel like with Wrench Caliber used, Militia Commander used, is it maybe a good opportunity to play Acolyte of Pain to stop Warpath, or to stop, you know, Dynamatic clears, or to stop anything else?
But Acolyte of Pain just... I don't even know if he wants to play Acolyte of Pain at all.
To not draw cards?
Yeah, because he's just accelerating Zalae's ability to beat him in the later stages of the game.
But if he lets the game go on, his opponent's just going to collect too much value off of Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
That's also true. But then what is he drawing into? I guess he would want to aggressively draw for his own Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
Right.
But what if he starts going down that path and Dr. Boom is like in his bottom 10? Then
True.
he's effectively already lost the game because he's too far behind a fatigue, and Zalae wouldn't even need bombs to beat him. So
It's all good points. It's all good points. Zalae has a board clear here with Dynamatic and Hero Power. Can also draw with the Town Crier, but probably would want to do that last. So this is an instance where Zalae can use his removal. He is with the Warpath. Looks like he values the Dynamatic and can also squeeze out his Hero Power while having some remnants of Microbots. Warpath is generally a harder card to use too, especially if they don't have Dr. Boom, if they don't have Blastmaster Boom in their deck. So that's one use case of Warpath out already. So I actually like this. Zalae's improving the quality of his hand, even though he develops a little bit less.
This is so... This game one is just... It's Rase fighting a massive uphill battle. And he has a huge life lead right now. But if you consider, he's got about a 4-bomb life lead right now. Considering Zalae has double Augmented Delic, double Clockwork Goblin, and the double Wrench Caliber, he already has 1 bomb in the deck. He's got the ability to shuffle 8 more bombs in the deck with just the cards in his deck. That's 40 life. So that's the differential. If you consider that at the very beginning of the game, since Rase isn't going to pressure and end the game early, he's operating with 40 less life than Zalae. 50 if you consider maximum bomb shuffling is available, where every time he swings the Wrench Caliber, he gets Augmented Delic.
Yeah, and that also continues to stack based off the Dr. Boom hero power. So maybe he picks up more bombs. Maybe he summons more microphones. Maybe he just zaps and deals damage and offsets Race's hero power. All of these options are pretty good.
Yeah.
And Rase is in a spot where, because he's committed to this, I'm not going to really draw cards and draw into my powerful tools like Dr. Boom. And understandably so. But he's paying the consequence for it. And now he has a hand that's too full, so even if he makes it to the Omega Assembly stage, he has too many cards.
Yeah.
So he's dumping this Town Crier, but he's going to draw his Ziliax. And I guess just pass it back over to Zalae.
Yeah. And you can tell Zalae is playing it very slowly. He had the opportunity to go for a pretty aggressive bomb start. Instead of playing Augmented Delic on 3, he played Shield Block on 3. Instead of playing like Dr. Boom just for a little bit of additional tempo with 1 bomb in the deck, he just held on to it and is playing super slow. He's been using his life aggressively as a resource. He knows that he has so much time, and he knows that he could just wait until Archivist Elysiana is played, until he actually goes for like bombs and just save it all up,
right? And
go for that post Elysiana bomb damage because he's already ahead.
Yeah. PEDs.
Oh yeah, love those.
So I like this little trade here from Zalae, just trying to squeeze out any kind of value you can get off of the turning rover. Extra health means extra time. Extra time means more opportunities to set up big bomb damage. Zalae picks up second Brawl. That's not that useful either, especially against Control Warrior. So he might be looking for opportunities to drop it. Not now, but something in the near future. Right now, I believe Dynamatic and the hero power, again, clears everything. I mean, even just Dynamatic clears everything.
Yeah, because he has the rush with Dr. Mad Genius, could rush it into the...
Really? Okay, so he is going to use the Brawl in this position. I was saying not now because, well, it felt like there was very clean answers. There's just like the Dynamatic. But Zalae's valuing the Dynamatic a little bit more.
In fact, Zalae is just running out of targets for Dynamatic to even hit. He has played I guess he's only played the 1 Militia Commander.
Right, but he's played Harrison Jones.
He's played Harrison Jones.
Like these double Town Criers, and I guess maybe Dynamatic is like a punish to if Rase plays Acolyte of Pain.
To force him to draw cards, yeah.
Right. Big draw here from Rase. Now the playing field has somewhat equalized. Finds some pretty quality minions. Boom Reaver is just like generally really good, although Rase does play double Acolyte of Pain in his deck, so that is one liability. But he could easily pull out Omega Devastator and still be really good. I also don't mind just holding 10 cards here. Yeah. Okay, now do we Dynamatic? I don't know. Like at this point, I feel like he's committed to the hold the Dynamatic line.
Just what is his play otherwise? Militia Commander?
That's fair. I mean,
that's more flexible.
I guess Dynamatic here is good.
Yeah.
Light the fuses!
Weapons Pride project, so Rase can answer the second range caliber pretty effectively. Boom over here has Omega Devastator number 2, Militia Commander number 2, Acolyte of Pain number 2, and
Archivist Elysiana.
Archivist Elysiana, and a Dynamatic that he can pull. So those are 5 minions.
Okay, then.
1 out of 5 times it ends up horribly. 1 out of 5 times it ends up amazingly. And then the other 3 cases are pretty average.
Yep. I think you can risk it here just because what else are you going to do? He could brawl, try and get use out of a brawl. He could kaboom Ziliax. But I think just the most pressure on board, a nice average outcome for Rase. If you think about it,
Slightly above average.
10 mana for 11 attack and 14 health worth of rush.
Yeah, it's just that when you know your opponent has Dr. Boom Mad Genius up, any minion that you play, you just assume will die to like 1 or 2 cards. Like in this case, Omega Devastator answers both of them.
Yep.
And Omega Devastator was picked up by the delivery drone from Zalae.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
So the master plan here for Zalae still has ultimately came down to the same conclusions, which is to try and damage out Rase. But now that his Dr. Boom Mad Genius advantage has been nullified, Zalae is only 1 card ahead in fatigue, so he has to slow down on it. Second brawl.
Ooh, this could end up poorly. And didn't end up too poorly, to be honest. If the Boom Reaper had survived, I guess he had Omega Devastator as a kind of in a pinch scenario.
Yeah, also Shield Slam, because I mean that is one of the biggest minions Rase will ever have.
Sure, yeah. Archivist Elysiana is the other one, but you'd have another Shield Slam in the deck to be able to contest that, so... And now things get awkward again for Rase. He's got so many cards in his hand that are pretty much unplayable. 2 Brawls, an Execute, Acolyte of Pain, Iron Beak Owl, Omega Assembly, there's not enough hand space. Weapons Project, that's saved for Wrench Caliber most likely. So, I mean, what are you, Dynomatic and Blast Shield here?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the arguments that supports Zalae's theory of just like tossing in the Brawls, so that way you have stuff that you can play. It was just that using it on like a 1-2 and a 1-3 and a 2-4. It didn't seem like that impactful of a brawl. Like eliminating 11 power from your opponent's board does seem reasonable.
And to be fair, I mean, the way that Zalae loses this game is if Rase plays Archivist Elysiana and then tempos Zalae out of the game.
Right, yeah, so having brawl number 2 just as a one-up, seems like a perfectly reasonable option.
Ooh, this is a nice clever way to get 2 dead cards out of the end.
Yeah, Silence is surprisingly good against the magnetic abilities, though. Oh, man, Snip Snap just picked up. Zalae's eyes widen. He's like, whew. Love to see that.
Yep.
Your 1 of Silence on your opponent's deck has just been played on his own Acolyte just to get card dump going. I think Zalae is trying to make up reasons to not play Snip Snap. He's like trying to convince himself.
Yeah, I could find a few. Kaboom's on the other side. You've seen 1 Shield Slam, so there's likely to be another. At this point, with only 9 cards left in the deck, 1 of which is a bomb.
Right. You can bait out Warpath perhaps first too.
Yep.
I like it. I mean, we're playing other Snip Snaps. We're just kind of thinking about what else where would we put it?
I like 2 on another side, so leave this 3/6 as it is, and then make them 4/6 after the second one. Least vulnerable to Warpath because both targets would be out of range. You can Weapons Project into the 2/1 or Rush, and it's still out of range of Warpath. Save some health. Actually, no, it's not out of range of Warpath. Has he seen both? No, he has not.
He's seen 1.
Huh.
Interesting that he values 2 life versus 2 damage onto the board. given that the Omega Devastator now answers everything. Although it would have been answered either way, because he had the weapons project.
Yeah.
But it's especially nice because now Rase doesn't have to take extra damage.
Okay, then.
Rase trying to get value off of cards. Like execute. And shield slam. Wow. You know, I understand it. Because again, those are clunkier cards and you use 2 shield slams. But there might be some big targets still coming from Zalae.
Yeah.
I'm worried for Rase. I get why he used it though, because again, those cards were stuck for a while and he had no use cases.
Yeah.
Wrench Caliber, Gyarados. And now he has the ability to go for Augmented Elic and Wrench Caliber and play the Blastmaster Boom along with it.
He does have a second Elic in the deck, which means that he can use one pretty liberally and then save the clockwork, save the second one for the Clockwork Goblins that are still left in the deck. But honestly, there's not really too much of a reason for Zalae to do anything. He's got removal in his own hand. He can wait again until Elysiana comes out before he plays his bombs, especially right now. This is a very poor time to play bombs. You either want to get them in early so your opponent draws them through the mid stage of the game, or you want to get them in after Elysiana. Because if Zalae shuffles in all of his bombs right now, Rase has 2 options. 1, he could just Elysiana the bombs out of his deck. 2, he could just leave his hand full and diffuse the bombs, which also makes up ground and fatigue.
Good points. Good points all around. Beryllium Nullifier. Magnetic. But most importantly, can't be targeted by hero powers or spells. It would force out an Omega Devastator, but he doesn't have anything to magnetize this onto.
Okay, then.
If he had the ability to use Copper Tail Imposter into Beryllium Nullifier, that's interesting. But you only can choose one. Nullifier here still seems pretty good just as a proactive play. It'll force out your opponent Mega Devastator. If your opponent plays Mega Devastator, you can answer it right back.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
I'm trying to gain some insight based off Zalae's plays so far this game, but he's just been playing like
yeah, he's playing like a control warrior.
He's taking a slow methodical approach to it.
He could also just play Dynamatic on the board because, like you say, he's running out of threats to play it on.
Yeah.
But I think playing some kind of mech on the board here is okay. He's gonna hold at 9 cards.
It's kind of an awkward situation. He knows that Race's hand and deck is all removal. It's all reactive cards. There's not much proactive stuff going on. So Zalae says, if I just have enough removal, force Rase to play his cards, force him to hit fatigue first, which he will.
That's interesting, yeah. No, so it makes sense based off of that, right? Like he's just saying, I transition my game plan into Control Warrior, and I'm just winning the Control Warrior mirror now.
Yeah.
And he says, if I have to rely on the bombs, I can, but I need delivery drones so many times. And Rase draws the single bomb.
Because Rase has set up cards.
Yeah. A reason to play cards for Zalae's end now is to force Rase to play a card. Because if he's in a situation where he's willing to play slow, Rase is willing to hold 10 cards, like you said. This seems like a pretty good Warpath opportunity, although the way Warpath works, it still fills up your hands, so you can't play Delivery Drone. That's mildly annoying, but pretty relevant in this spot in particular.
Yeah.
Echo being a little bit cumbersome.
Light the fuses!
Hoping to replace Dynamatic with a worthy mech finds some pretty good stuff. All of it has reasonable use cases. Replicating Menaces, the hardest to remove. Wargear's the most power. Stegatron is the most stats.
Picks the Wargear. Most damage up front. Microbots is like the most damage when you want to remove something. The 6 immediately with Rush. But takes the Wargear because it just can make one minion just beefy.
The inevitable Omega Assembly into the Alarma bot makes the damage Stegatron the best.
There you go.
Think about that.
Nailed it.
No Omega Assembly here from Rase. Just gonna take it even slower.
Yep. And right now, as we've been saying, Zalae has an advantage. While he's a little bit behind on life, and if you look at the hands, it's like, well, it's kind of similar resources. Zalae, because of the bombs, he can wait till post-Elysiana to put the bombs in. So Rase here is going to rely on big impact cards from his own Elysiana. I'm talking like 2 more Elysianas from the Discover choices. I'm talking just straight up damage, value generation, tempo, huge tempo tools. It's hard to imagine a possibility where his Elysiana will be so much better than Zalae's that he'll be able to make up like a 30 bomb damage difference. But it is possible.
Oh, I love that
I believe it, TJ. I believe it is possible.
You can believe it and achieve it. That's TJ.
An anime written, directed, produced, lead acted by TJ Sanders.
Yep.
That's great. Romantic interest played by TJ Sanders. Starring
Okay,
Nathan,
then.
that's Admiral Zamora as
Grandpa Nathan.
Oliver Sanders.
I think we already shot that. I vaguely remember holding Admiral with Baby Bjorn, but
I do remember that. That's something that
I tried to erase that from my memory.
I can never unsee that. Clockwork Goblin. So the post-Elysiana plan's still in effect, but this is where Wargear could just be used. 5 mana, 5/5.
Yeah, sure.
Deal a little damage. Zalae, what cards is he missing from his deck? He's missing his second Shield Slam.
This would be a
He's
good
missing
time
Town
for a
Crier.
master plan.
I think
Oh, sorry, he's holding a second Shield Slam.
yeah, he's holding second Shield Slam, Town Crier, the second Clockwork Goblin.
And then
Protocol 7 engaged.
Omega 7.
Mega Devastator number 2. He played one that was created
I'm
by
almost out of
Delivered.
Ah, yeah.
Elysiana finds its way in the hand. Rase, what's his last card? His last card is the second Warpath. So if he's willing to burn that, he can just pass. He can take this damage, but he also wants to get that delivery drone value.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
But in order to do that, he has to expend something, and whatever he expends is pretty high value. Or so low value, so negative value that you don't want to play it like Acolyte.
Right. Acolyte Pain Brawl, and, well, you actually kind of lose either way. The Acolyte wins the Brawl, you're like, crap. And you draw cards. But if the 5/1 wins the Brawl, you're like, oh no, I wanted to kill that thing. Weaponized Pinata. The scariest of all,
I love that
party
fuse
animals.
thing.
There's the pinned tail on the donkey. There's the weaponized Pinata.
The miniature pony.
Yeah. Second weapons project. Unafraid of the consequences for Wrench Caliber.
Means he values the second Warpath in his deck very highly over the ability to remove Wrench Caliber.
I don't know. Wrench Caliber is 16 damage. You get 5 bomb damage each, so it's 10 plus the 2 weapon swings is 6. It's kind of like having 2 Ragnarok shots, the way Admirable described it.
Yeah.
That is pretty much how Admirable quantifies everything when he purchases things at 7-Eleven.
Yep.
He's like, wow, that's
my total
like,
bill is 2 Ragnarok shots? He goes, that seems too expensive.
yes. Counts in intervals of 8. And Zalae is waiting for that Elysiana, and to be honest, I think he can throw away whatever card. The only card he doesn't want to burn is Omega Destiny number 2, and I think he just drew it, so.
I think Omega Assembly also.
Oh, I love that
You're right. One of the Mega Assembly.
Yeah.
Alright, just throw, just maybe throw something
This
out
would
there.
be a good time for a master
Like-
plan.
Equip Wrench Caliber. Swing and then Equip Wrench Caliber.
Yeah.
There's no weapon removal left. Ziliax is the one that I expected to leave, just because in a pinch, Ziliax can buy you some much needed time. But Zalae's so far ahead, he's saying, I'll throw away
Yeah,
Ziliax.
Zalae is 3 cards ahead. He is very far ahead in the fatigue and the damage. And so Rase has to Elysiana in this spot, I believe.
Yes, because if he does an Elysiana, then
story
Zalae
just
just
has to
loads
be
all bombs in and then guarantees himself 20 damage.
Smaller Thorn Lancer and Powdered Mauler Potion Vendor. Pretty weak things.
So you probably take Smolderthorn Lancer and then prioritize a dragon in one of your other choices.
Heavy Metal is actually a pretty decent tempo tool. 6 mana, 7 of the 10 mana cost minion. Core Chron Elite is good for the pressure.
Ancient Brewmaster could be interesting given your other choices.
I love that fuse
Oh
thing.
man, this is just not a high value Elysiana.
Giggling Inventor is like pretty good if your opponent uses Brawls and use Warpaths and use Dynamatic. Like, they only have like Dynamatic type stuff in there.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if after this Elysiana race, he won't, but I wouldn't be surprised. So Elysiana was, there you can see it on screen.
The Smolder Thorn Lancer, the Heavy Metal, the Core Chron Elite, the Halftime Scavenger, I guess, which synergizes with Heavy Metal and Silverhand Knight. I was thinking about improved morale because I was thinking like Rase would be desperate enough to need like a lackey out of some kind, but I couldn't even think of one. Warrior's not known for having like game-ending spells. They usually have game-extending spells, like things to help keep them alive. When I say game-ending spells, I'm talking about the equivalent of like Power of Creation, Pyroblast type stuff. You know, like Kangor's Endless Army. Like
A couple of 40 armor Dr. Boom schemes seem game ending to me.
I mean, I guess they're good, but like the closest thing is the Boom Ship, and it's not like he has a hand that he wants to use the
No,
Boom Ship.
not at all.
Oh, I love
I mean, they're
that
not known
fuse
for it.
thing.
They do have good spells, obviously. They have one of the best spells in the game in Brawl.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Bomb time. Funnily enough, if Ray's picked the Ancient Brewmaster...
That's what I was saying. I think if you're this far behind, you have to pick Ancient Brewmaster just for the possibility that you high roll your last Elysiana choice, or if your Elysiana sticks.
Was he offered the Brewmaster in the halftime scavenger situation? Maybe. I don't think so.
No, it was in the Core Chron Elite
You're
spot,
right.
I believe. So, results-oriented thinking,
Yeah, and you know,
that would
obviously
not have
it's
been
not-
Ancient Brewmaster. How different would Hearthstone be if you drew your cards in alphabetical order?
a lot more boring. That's for sure.
Augmented Elec Clockwork Goblin will be an even stronger combo.
Well, you draw Archivist Elysiana.
You just wouldn't play it in the deck.
I don't want to cast that guy seriously if they don't play Elysiana.
Ziliax would be a much worse card.
That fuse
Lucid
thing.
Bark. But Warrior gains armor. They don't really restore life very easily except
Ziliax.
Ziliax. I think Rase is thinking about holding 10 cards.
I honestly would have liked to see him hold 10 cards. I don't think having a halftime scavenger on board is worth it. And I don't think the cards that he got from Archivist Elysiana are good enough to warrant potentially taking 10, 15, 20 damage in order to play a 3-5 or to keep a card in his deck.
That's a good point.
Shall we just play more bombs?
We can. Let's first see what's in the Omega symbol.
Oh.
Oh man. That's a lot of bombs. He's got Clockwork Goblin, Augmented Elic. That's 6 bombs in one turn that can go to the deck. That's an entire hero's worth of health. He actually even clears the halftime scavenger.
Yep. And can just hold this weapon swing and next turn shuffle 6 bombs.
Yeah, this is also a smart play from Zalae too, because this is a card that you can't ignore. Therefore, you have to play a card to deal with it. Rase can't hold 10 cards, and I think that's what Zalae is recognizing. Instead of shuffling bombs all in, sees that if Rase leaves up 9 power on the board, which he most likely won't,
This would be a good time
he's just
for
going
a
to take the
master
equivalent of
plan.
bomb damage anyways. So,
Yeah. In fact, so I can wait for the rest of these bombs.
Yes, he should in theory wait. He could play Elysiana next turn. His timing is perfect because this is the turn Rase will have to remove something, and he frees up his hand space to 9 at least. And then Zalae can play Elysiana because he's busy responding to his turn, and then not worry about the fatigue, and then focus on the follow plays out. So Rase finds the use of Brawl, but he actually can go to 10 cards if the Omega summons at the very end, but he misses 7 armor. In this case, he's gonna miss 1 card.
That's it. I'm out of cards.
So he wants to challenge the Elysiana.
This story deserves
Not going
reading.
to. Mega Devastator. High Inquisitor Whitemane. This is a new legendary card that was introduced in the classic set that is a Revenge of the Wild, if you will. It returns all the minions that died this turn.
Yeah, and the catch is, Dan, they don't have to be beasts.
Yeah. Batterhead is very good. Soul Thraze is also good. You can also just pick Former Champ for the stats. Because, you know, truth be told, Soul Thraze, you probably can't swing that much.
This is a much higher value.
War Gear and Execute.
Oh.
And Dr. Boom. Alright, doesn't make the boom.
Yeah.
I don't know, I heard 7 is good.
So you can see on the screen there, Omega Devastator, the High Inquisitor Whitemane, the Batterhead, Sulthraze, and War Gear. Yikes.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Oh, he
the
actually...
Batterhead has rushed. Rase
Yeah.
is like, oh my goodness. Batterhead.
That is kind of amusing, because Zalae had the option of playing the 1-drop before Archivist Elysiana and picking up a Rush minion. And Warrior does have Rush minions in their class, and Discover is biased towards your class card.
This would be a good
So,
time for a master
if Zalae
plan.
wanted to play against the fatigue counter, he actually messed up the sequencing there. But if it was all part of the plan, then by all means. Because he could have also just not played the 1-2. So clearly he wanted the Batterhead in his hand.
Yep.
So Race's best tempo play is the heavy metal plus the
Light the fuses!
looks like he wants to go to 10 cards. Picks
Ugh.
up very weak mechs. Some of
What?
the worst.
Those are the worst.
You're talking crap about my main man Alarma bot.
Yep.
High Inquisitor. White man.
Yeah, I think she's the one of, in tandem, the last boss in Scarlet Monastery Cathedral in World of Warcraft. My World of Warcraft references are your anime references, Dan.
That is a very accurate description.
I may be wrong on that. I think so. She
This would be a good
resurrects
time
in
for
the
a
last
man
boss.
to play.
Yeah. So this makes sense from Zalae. So he's playing the biggest minion he can to force the removal out of
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Rase has to deal with a 310. Otherwise, he's going to take 3 damage a turn. Zalae's not going to shuffle bombs unnecessarily, and with all 3 weapon destruction used, he doesn't have to worry about anything, as far as he knows.
That's not a bomb.
Yeah, I wanted to burn the bombs.
So there's still 4 bombs left in Race's deck. So while he does technically on the card counter to right have a fatigue advantage, he has 6 non-bomb cards, and Zalae has 8 non-bomb cards. So that's why Race kept his hand full, because he was hoping that if a bomb was overdrawn, he doesn't take the damage, and it also gets him closer fatigue, because then he has, you know, 1 additional non-bomb card. Oh my! What?
Card the Soul Flare is a 10 drop, and a
That changes
fatigue
everything!
stamina. Well, does it change everything? What does it change? It changes the fact that
Someone could draw bloods faster than the other opponent and kill before fatigue matters.
well now Zalae's incentivized to also hold 10 cards.
And then Race would win that matchup, right? Because he's got technically more cards in his deck.
Okay, well Rase doesn't want to make it about the 10 card holds. He's Shield Slam, which means that he's opened up another card slot, and that gives Zalae the opportunity to, well, bomb out. In fact, this might be Zalae's opportunity to do the bomb out play.
He could also put bloods in too. He could go Augmented Relic, double Clockwork Goblin, trade both
This
Clockwork
would be a
Goblins into
good
a
time for
car,
a master plan.
and then swing with Run's Caliber. That would put 6 more bombs in Race's deck, bringing his total bombs up to 10. And it would put the blood in Race's deck, so we'd have
Right.
just the 3 damage blood plus 10 bombs.
Yep, 2 Omega Symbols have been used. 1 Acolyte's been drawn, but you don't want to draw with Acolyte. I think that this might be the bomb setup here for Zalae. He could easily answer the Mega Devastator and take it even slower, and honestly just build an advantage. But I like the bomb play too.
Yeah, and because Race has 8 cards in his hand and he has a Zap Hero Power, there's actually no way that he could fill up his hand. So, which means that you'd be guaranteed bomb damage over 2 turns. Like right now, how would Race ever fill up his hand? So if Zalae had gone for a bomb plan this past turn, there would be 2 turns of guaranteed potential bomb damage. So while this play works, I think that the bomb plan seems better for like maximum pressure. Zalae not interested in maximum pressure. He's interested in maximum. What's it? The move called? Maximum.
What?
It's like a chokehold, but it's like has a specific name.
For what, in MMA?
Yeah.
The rear naked choke?
Rear naked choke. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. You just generally held up your arm.
RNC.
Yeah.
Oh.
The rear naked choke.
Protocol 7.
I don't know why. What
That
else
would
would I
get
be thinking
confusing.
of? What else would I be thinking of, DJ?
Oh, nothing.
Bomb being drawn here finally. Feels feels like Rase has kind of been dodging most of the bomb. Corrupted Blood, which is also bad, and another bomb.
It can just rotate back and forth.
They can keep drawing another Corrupted Blood. They synergize with each other.
They do. They
Because the
synergize
bomb
with damage.
draws that. After it shuffles, you can draw another bomb, which makes you draw another blood, which would shuffle in, and then you draw another bomb in. Zalae had lethal 2 turns ago.
He did. Thought you said Alarm Ball was your boy, Dan.
He is. Watch him win this. Told you. Don't mess with my boy. Alarmabot. Don't talk to me or my son ever again, TJ. Okay, Zalae, I would be very hard pressed for him to not bomb out this turn.
Yeah, there's bloods in the deck too. It's like everything synergizes as well. I don't know the percentages, but this two of the cards in the deck are bloods, and he'll have at the end of it all 8 bombs.
So 10 out of the 14 cards.
10 out of the 14 cards draw damage and draw another card that could be damage.
That could also recursively work into itself.
All right, let's take a look.
That's 1 bomb. That's 2 bombs. That's a blood. It shuffles in into another bomb. Oh, all right.
Ended the streak, but he's dead.
Ziliax to regain the life and revive Lucid Park.
I think Rase just wanted to stay in the game long enough to be able to resurrect Lucent Bark as it.
Well, Zalae could also resurrect this turn too. But he can just shut down the good old-fashioned way.
You mean Soul Thrace? The good old-fashioned way.
Well, just Omega Devastator, and
You just double Mega Devastator and push 3, push 6. Gives you a 2-bomb, 1-1 breakpoint. There are now 3 Corrupted Bloods in the deck and 6 bombs. So 9 out of the 12 cards are damaged.
yeah, I think Ray's like, oh my goodness, Mega Devastator off of Luciana. That means Zalae had 5 this game. That's right, this is game 1, which has lasted about an hour now.
Bomb.
But we are coming to the conclusion. He's not dead. That's gonna do it. Game 1 over to Zalae in this Warrior slugfest back and forth. As looks like the deck list, as you alluded to, TJ, gave Zalae that advantage. But as we go into games 2 and 3, potentially game 3, I anticipate to go much faster because I do think this Mechathun Warrior is supposed to be what Rase is really hoping for to pull him out of the series.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee, though. Reason being is because when you're playing a strategy that relies on you drawing your entire deck and your deck being empty to complete your combo, Bomb Warrior loves to play against those kinds of decks. Think of Chef Nomi Priest, where Bomb Warrior is like the ultimate counter to the deck. Mechathun Warrior is a little different because they have much more life gain, many more control tools. But they also have less card draw. So it's kind of a fine balance they have to strike. And also for Zalae, I think the onus is kind of on Zalae to navigate it well. Because Rase has one game plan. Draw through his deck as quickly as possible, take as little damage as possible, and don't mess up your Mechathun combo. Whereas Zalae has to figure out a lot more stuff.
All right. Well, we're going to go into game number 2 in just a moment. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the rest of the series between Zalae and Rase.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the sky.
My name is Paul Nemeth, aka Zalae, and you can find me on Twitter at ZalaeHS, and more importantly, my stream, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. Tune in, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. A day in my life, I wake up when I feel like it, then I go to the gym when I feel like it, after that I stream when I feel like it, and then after that, I try and do something productive, and it doesn't always work. My personal goals for this year, I prefer to make short-term goals. So I try to live each day as best I can and make good decisions in the moment. And I don't focus too much on long-term goals because that can be complicated. And I think it's good to keep things simple and focus on what's important in the here and now. You know, it would be pretty cool if I could be first place in the Grandmasters system, but to be completely honest, I don't expect that. Just saying's a little bigger than me. Yeah, second place, that seems like a realistic goal. I could probably finish second place in the Grandmasters program. But I feel like second place it's a nice, comfortable spot for me. I'm into second place.
My name is Lucas Guerra Romano. When I was like 11 or 12, I don't know if I saw like the word raise, like people using poker, raise your bet or something. And oh, this word is kind of nice, and then I cut the letter I, and then I use it just raise. That's how I created my nick, and I'm using it since I was like 11 years old or something. So last year was pretty huge for me. I have had a lot of great achievements, finished like top 18 points on NA. Being here, being a Grandmaster, like people will recognize me as a Grandmaster, and that's pretty cool. I'm always looking for win, but being here together with the best players in the world, I will try to push myself a lot. It's pretty easy to win a game that you are favored, that you drew well, but you need to win bad matchups, games that you have a small percentage to win. Like, you need to evaluate when you need to risk something or when you just need to play pretty safe. This is what I try to do, and I think I do well sometimes. I'm here to win. I will try my best for it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region. We're still in the middle of the series between Zalae and Rase. Warrior battle, one for the books, as these two players play basically an hour-long match, but it should be speeding up very quickly based on the deck lists. We do anticipate them to move to other decks. Rase should be moving to a secondary, as he has the Mecha'thun, Geppetto Joypuz, the Undertaker, Devastate, and Inner Rage package. This is a way for you to get the Mecha'thun without having to require an entire overhaul of the deck. If you play the traditional Mecha'thun Warrior with Malygos and the Boom Ship and Mecha'thun, you need 6 cards, I believe, as opposed to the 5 here.
You need Boom Ship, Malygos, Mecha'thun, Double Enrage, Whirlwind. And also, this version has a little bit of redundancy against the, albeit very rare, tech cards of Unseen Saboteur and Hecklebot. Because you don't absolutely need your Mecha'thun to be played from hand, because you can always get the Death Rattle from the Undertaker. So
it was a really cool innovation that was discovered. And I personally think that the Geppetto Joypuz Devastate Mechathune package is with the Undertaker is superior to the Boom Shape one. That's just my own personal view on it.
Yep.
I think less cards for a combo just that has a similar effect is just strictly better. It improves your odds dramatically. You might think, oh, it's just one card difference. How different can that be, right? If it's 5 versus 6 cards. If you start contextualizing it based off the way TJ was contextualizing wins, it means you need to draw another card out of the 5, so you need 20% more resources on average in order to pull it off.
Yeah.
Which means you also need that much more time. And as we know, an extra turn or two often is a difference maker in Hearthstone.
Yeah, especially in this matchup, considering that you're dealing with bombs. And this matchup's a lot different for Zalae as well, like how he plays it. He can't afford to play as slow as he played last game because he's not relying on fatigue. He's not waiting for a time in the game to play stuff. If you play a bomb, it will be drawn before the game ends, one way or another, unless you beat them before they draw their bombs. Because in order for Rase to ever win the game, he has to get his Mechathune combo off, which means his deck has to be empty. So Zalae can't really afford to kind of wait until he has like this critical mass of bombs, because that gives Rase time to draw through his whole deck before Zalae assembles that. He can't wait until later on in the game to play his bombs, but he can't wait for too long. And he does have to pressure earlier, or else the bomb won't matter, because Rase will be in a situation where he gets his combo off before Zalae has enough damage to shuffle in.
Yep, you're right. Very quickly, we already see Zalae thinking about his deviations in his patterns of play. He had the opportunity to play Clockwork Goblin on three, and then maybe have that load into Snip Snap. But playing around things like his opponent's Militia Commander right back, and instead trying to grab initiative through his Militia Commander. This is, of course, vulnerable to a Dynamatic, but we see none from Rase.
Speak to me.
Instead, going for a Warpath. This is a Warpath for 1 to draw 1 card, which goes to show you how desperate Rase is right now in this position.
Yeah, I mean, the whole goal of the deck is to draw cards. It's not about removing the board to an extent. It's about removing the board enough to survive, but then the primary function is to draw cards. And he's got Acolyte of Pain, he's got Weapons Project and Harrison Jones, he's got shield blocks. There are a lot of ways to draw. There's Geppetto Joypuz added in. And he needs to be efficient with his mana too. And he also needs to find times throughout the game to use cards that are otherwise tough to use. He's got a Brawl in the deck and Warpath in the deck. Brawl is probably the most important card to use, and you'll see Brawl thrown away in Mechathune Warrior versus Warrior matchups like as soon as it can be used. Even if it's like a 50-50 for you to win versus like a 2-5 or whatever. You throw it away because you don't want to be in a situation late game where your opponent's not playing anything and you can never play Brawl again. We ran into a situation a couple weeks ago after we came back from Vegas where Eddie almost threw away a game because he didn't manage his resources well enough in the late game as Mechathune. And it looked like he was playing the matchup perfectly. He was throwing away all of his cards, but then one slip-up meant that he almost could never win the game again.
Right.
It was by not throwing away his Devastate. If his opponent had just not played any minions, Eddie would have lost. But his opponent didn't recognize that and played a minion, and Eddie was lucky enough to be able to use it and win. So, so now Rase does have Weapons Project Harrison Jones.
Geralt, you are not fit to rule the Horde.
Karen Bloodhuff coming down, just trying to get some semblance of board pressure. Very hard to remove, and also it's difficult for your opponent to utilize Dynamatic without giving up their Militia Commander themselves. You're just trying to think about the most efficient ways for your cards to get value, which is probably what Zalae's thinking about the most, because his plays seem fairly obvious, right? Six mana, play Karen Bloodhuff. But he's thinking about, like, okay, these are the resources used from Rase, which are 2 Militia Commanders. That means the 4/5 body should be relatively safe. Oh, sorry. Zalae is the one who used too much, but he already seen one from Rase.
That belongs in a museum.
This is a very big, powerful move. Just draw 3 cards. Dr. Boom Mad Genius finds his way into the hand. Things are looking good for Rase so far.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as much as Zalae has all those bombs that he could set up for, that's a lot of life gain from Rase. Just with the 2 shield blocks and Dr. Boom, and maybe even weave in a warrior hero power.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, Dr. Boom obviously important, but I don't know how important it is in this matchup.
I'd say it's still pretty important because your hero power isn't really doing anything.
Yeah,
in
that's
the matchup.
What now?
It's important, but it also it doesn't feel as good as it does in other matchups because you know that eventually you're gonna have to kill it.
I still think it's really important in this matchup, though. Because one of the things that is limiting for Zalae's deck is his card draw resources. And Dr. Boom gives you ways to spend your mana.
Yeah, he has put in a couple additional ways of essentially drawing cards with Geppetto, Joybuzz, and the second Omega Sensei. But yes, I'm not disagreeing that it's not important. I'm just saying it doesn't feel quite as good.
I'm so
Maybe 2% less good. If in a normal matchup it feels 100% good, then in this matchup it feels 98% good.
I 98% agree. Augment to Elec with no Wrench Caliber picked up just yet. Zalae could utilize his card draw here to keep his hand resources high, but this is the turn before he wants to play Snip Snap. This is the turn that would be awkward if he just played Clockwork Goblin and he has reactive cards with Rush that don't do anything. This is not looking good for Zalae right now.
No.
I kind of wonder if he took his line a little bit slow because he had the opportunity to pressure a lot more with Snip Snap and Clockwork Goblin, but because he saved it. I mean, granted, Rase had Militia Commander, right? And all those other things, but by choosing a very passive line to do that, as opposed to, because he's shield block on 3. I know, I am, this is very offensive thing for sure, but, he chose to play shield block instead of curve out, and we know Bomb Warriors like curving out.
Defend the gates!
He does get the Snip Snap value though, but he doesn't get the magnetic onto what's existing on the board, therefore he can't push damage. Another augmented Elec. Snip Snap seems still pretty effective in this position. Your opponent does not have Kaboom, they just used it. But if he has that Warpath, what's the best way to play around it? And I think it's still...
This would be a good time for a man.
Actually, he's still weak to Ironbeak Owl, so he loses both ways here. No matter how he stacks his Snip Snap, if he goes wide, hit by the Warpath. If he goes tall, hit by the Ironbeak Owl. And if he goes... If he splits the difference, it's still answered by Warpath. If he attaches this to a 2-3, make it a 4-6, Rase just has to attack into it with his weapons project, and then Warpath clears everything.
Oh, I love that fuse thing. Okay, then.
There's multiple things to play around here with where you position this.
So this is better versus what's it better versus?
Nothing.
No, I mean it's
Better versus Ironbeak Owl.
Yeah, better versus Ironbeak Owl. Yeah, that's for sure. Because if you stacked it onto one thing, it's silenced down to 2-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Warpath will clear this, and Rase can even like efficiently gain armor by attacking once in the 4/4, and then blast shielding instead of quadruple Warpath. You'd net 3 health in that instance. You'd net 3 health in exchange for a weapons project. But looks like he wants to go for something different. He wants to make use of Iron Beak Owl in a situation where Iron Beak Owl is not that useful.
Yeah, the Iron Beak Owl silence here is what Zalae was playing around, which ended up being very nice. Good stuff. Mega Devastator. Interesting. So now he's giving like Zalae value off of the cards that he has trouble getting out.
But for Zalae, it's not really about getting cards out of hand. It's just about killing Rase as fast as he can.
I gotta admit, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No. Rase is almost out of card draw, though. He's got one Acolyte of Pain left in the deck and a Shield Block left in hand. But the problem is he's got so many resources to buy time. And the cool thing about this specific Mechathune package in the deck is that Mechathune can be used as removal. Because you have the Undertaker to gain the Death Rattle effect of the Mechathune, you're able to just use it as a 10-10 rush post-Octo Boom. There's something you do have to be careful with, is like Delivery Drone discovers. Picking up Death Rattles. Because if you pick up Death Rattles that summon additional minions, it could ruin your Undertaker combo.
Right.
Like Mecharoo or Replicating Menace, because those are mechs that you can discover. That's why you remove Omega Assembly, for multiple reasons. One, because if you play Omega Assembly in the deck, it's just harder to get all the cards out of your hand. And two, when you play Omega Assembly, you can't control the outcome if you draw it past turn 10. Which means that you may get a Death Rattle minion that you have to play that then ruins your Undertaker combo.
It's true.
So, like, a lot of weird case scenarios. So, Delivery Drone, gotta be a little bit careful. The most awkward one is if your three Delivery Drone options are Alarmer Bot, Mecharoo, and Replicating Menace.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, you just... they're impossible to play.
It feels like that. It really does.
Yeah.
Save the best for last.
I'm pretty sure, though, it's like a 50-50 with those Death Rattle minions, because it depends which order Undertaker gains the Death Rattles. If it gains the minion Death Rattle first, then
Yes,
the minions
it does become a 50.
Yeah.
I believe we ran into that scenario.
Yeah, with Frozen, yep.
Where he played, yeah, with that Mecharoo. I do find it kind of funny that the Omega Devastator has the voice line save the best for last, and it's shooting a Mechathune for 10 damage. Because Mechathune is supposed to die last.
Is it a
little bit of dramatic irony there, if you will?
Yeah.
Or perhaps situational irony? I didn't pass English. But high school was very hard, as you can tell from my dog. Save the best for last after the brawl. That was the last one standing. What kind of irony was that, TJ?
delicious irony?
I'm looking at that pita sandwich next to you. That does look very delicious indeed.
It's not much less.
And then, in fact, you are correct. It was very delicious.
Well, Geppetto is something Rase did not want to see.
Jeez, that's a lot of damage on board. 17. That's challenging half of Race's life total.
Yeah, and Rase uses Brawl because it is a tough card to use. We talked about that earlier. It's a tough card to use, but also when you use it, there are some situations where you wish you hadn't. But if you don't use it and you find yourself in a situation where you can't use it later in the game, then you wish you had. So I do like that Rase got it out of the way, but it's a situation where he could have Warpathed. And because he played an Omega Devastator early on in the game for tempo, now he's suffering from that.
Yeah, he's not anticipating Boom Reaver coming out, but
This
even
would
if
be a good
it
time
wasn't
for
Boom
a
Reaver, if
master
it was Geppetto
plan.
Joy Buzz, what was his answer then? Now he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He's very much in trouble. He might have to shield block and hope that he gets his...
Light the fuses!
You can Dynamatic Ziliax. Dynamatic guaranteed hits the Geppetto Joy Buzz.
What is he going to do afterwards, though?
Ziliax and hit the Geppetto Joy Buzz and then trade in the Omega Devastator. Or pre-trade into the Boom Reaver and then set up a Warpath.
Okay.
Yeah. Pre-trade sets up a Warpath.
Still some good damage coming out.
Yeah. The
Bulldozer. That plays around the Warpath. But do you want the delivery drone instead? I feel like if I'm Zalae, I favor tempo in this position.
I would favor tempo as well. You can Omega Assembly too and see if that changes something. Maybe pick up an Omega Devastator that still allows you to push.
I think he wants to magnetize onto the 7.
Oh man. Clockwork Goblin and Boom Reaver are both fantastic. Clockwork Goblin because, like we talked about, bombs are guaranteed damage in this matchup. Clockwork Goblin is a guaranteed 5 damage. And Boom Reaver is just a big threat that you saw. That
Snip Snap. Another Boom Reaver. Okay.
I probably would have taken Snip Snap just because 2 Boom Reavers is hard to play.
I love that view.
Play one per turn. I think he wants to maybe even use Steel Rager and Clockwork Goblin in this spot too. But he has the Augmented Elic in his hand too. Maybe use Ziliax? Yeah, okay, Ziliax makes sense too here. Because he knows what the Warpath possibility. Interesting. So all of these like options on the right-hand side, and we kind of forget about the Ziliax before left. Acolyted Pain is an okay draw. So okay, now this is actually a math problem for Rase. He can draw 4 cards maximum with this. Not going. Oh, he's gonna use.
This is a full clear. 4 Warpaths plus the Microbots. So I think that's more important because that buys you more time than drawing additional cards. Because if he draws with Acolyte, there's almost no way that he clears off the Omega Devastator. It'd be too hard to find the damage. So Rase's cards left in his deck. He has he has Geppetto Joy Buzz. He has a Devastate. He has an Eternium Rover, a Weapons Project.
Yeah, okay, I get it. So like, if Rase draws deeper into his deck, I'm trying to like justify the play in my head. If Rase draws too many cards, then Zalae's full hand of potential bomb stuff is basically lethal. So I'm like, well, how do you win if you don't draw it out? But in Rase's mind, he doesn't have the time to get to the bomb stage, and he can't play Geppetto Joy Buzz. I think maybe he had to take the risk here. Like, now that we looked at it in hindsight and how his hands panned out, if his Acolyte was able to draw a few cards deeper, he'd be threatening to end the game, like, in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Granted, Zalae would probably bomb him out, but he would, 1, Rase is in a situation where that's going to happen anyways. And then 2, Zalae still had 10 cards in the deck, right? So there's still a chance that it wasn't going to line up that way.
Yeah. So Rase's last cards, he has Devastate, Shield Slam, Eternium Rover, and a second Dino-Matic.
That's actually very annoying. Those are hard cards to play with Geppetto Joy Buzz. And to make matters worse, Geppetto Joy Buzz might not even pick up a minion if one of them's played or one of them's drawn.
Yeah, I think this is nearly a guaranteed victory for Zalae. Just because right now, Rase is at 15. He has no ways to gain life outside of Weapons Project. And there is 4 bombs in the deck, which is 20 damage worth of bombs. There's a chance he just dies right here. And he won't, but...
Yeah. Little zip, little zap. I mean, it's a good clear.
He absolutely has to have Blast Shield or Delivery Drone. Well, he gets Delivery Drone, but
he gets the Delivery Drone.
Now he needs... Delivery Drone was the least impactful because now he needs something that heals him. Because there's still 3 bombs left in the deck, he's at 13. So, the math just doesn't add up.
3 bombs in the deck, so 3 out of 5. If he shuffles 2 more, it's 5 out of 7. He can put his opponent down to 10.
Yep, I like that.
Sounds really good odds.
Can even open up with delivery drone. Probably doesn't change things. Maybe something for 1 mana that trades over the Dynamatic. But I think just going aggressive now, like we talked about, every bomb is a guaranteed 5 damage.
He has a 47% chance of lethal like right now. Just did some med.
Oh, I love that
Wow,
fuse
you're so smart.
thing.
Just kidding, I used a calculator. Okay, that works. The Galvanizer allows him to go for the bombs. Holding out. What? Well, no bomb drawn, so...
My question is, why?
So, what are the cards remaining are Eternium Rover.
Shield Time was used. It's Eternium Over, he draw Dynamatic 2, Eternium Over Devastate, and 3 bombs. So the cards left in the deck are 3 bombs and a Devastate.
So he's waiting for the second to last card to increase his odds even further. Okay. So then it'll
This
be...
would be a good time for a master plan.
So after he picks what looks like to be some way to stop his opponent, so I guess Safeguard?
The problem with this play is, with the leverage on the other side, you give your opponent a small chance to get like Ziliax.
Right.
If you just play, like even just playing the Galvanizer to trade over the Dynamatic.
Yeah, it's true. But I don't think the Ziliax would have mattered that much.
I'll make you a real
I guess what Zalae's thinking here is that none of it matters. He has guaranteed lethal with the bombs in deck. He can just leave these minions on board because Zalae can never kill them. Or sorry, Rase can never kill them. Even if Zalae just takes this 9 damage for 5 turns, the bombs will kill Rase and he'll never be able to execute his Mechathune combo because he has minions on board.
This would be a good time for
So
a
Zalae's probably
master
thinking, if I leave this minion on board at 1 health,
Right.
because I've calculated what the minions are left in the deck.
I should be able... Yeah, so he just removes his 6/6. Like, he plays Clockwork Goblin and Steel Ranger, right? Just kills it.
Yeah,
And
or
then Rase can't kill his 3/1.
he can never kill his 3/1. So even if for some miracle he lived, he doesn't have the cards available left in his deck to actually kill off his own minion. And that's the same reason here that it seems like Zalae's going to leave up this 6/5. He doesn't want to play a minion that Rase can trade in his last cards to.
Right. He wants to keep that 6/5 alive because it's out of range of Zap.
Yeah. So now this is guaranteed lethal next turn.
Access denied.
From Zalae. All he has to do is play a Clockwork Goblin. Actually, no, he just passes.
Yeah, 15 damage guaranteed, right? Yeah. There's 3 bombs left.
Yeah, so literally what he did on that turn by leaving the Dynamatic up and doing nothing was, it didn't matter what he did.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
It was really smart. Obviously, when he does something like that, he's thinking about this really crafty line of play, but
Now,
it's good recognition of like the late game combat.
sure,
This would
but
be a
technically
good
he
time
could
for
have
a
killed
master
it and played
plan.
something because Rase had Geppetto left in his deck, and that he could never kill off also. So
Yeah,
I guess
I'm sure if he just equipped the weapon and the Clockwork Goblin went in, he still would have won.
He
But
still
it's
would have
like,
won.
this is, for him, 100% guaranteed
fuse
versus
thing.
like some weird scenario where he doesn't win. I don't
Actually,
know.
that killing the Dynamatic.
I'm pretty sure both would have been 100%.
Yeah.
Rase knows what's left in his deck.
I
He has-
think honestly killing the Dynamatic is more of a chance to win. Like it's 100% to 99.9 if you pick up Ziliax many times. The game's extra life. I don't know. Really doesn't matter.
Speaking of extra life, Ray's trying to gain because he knows that his last chance is to play Undertaker.
Yep.
But Zalae has also 100% guaranteed if he just plays Clockwork Goblin, right?
Yep. Play Clockwork Goblin and pass, and that is 100% guaranteed. And Rase knows. Concedes.
Victory here for purple.
Yeah.
Zalae getting the win means that the 3rd place spot in Division B is not guaranteed. Race with a win here would have guaranteed himself. Then he had best purple ties him, but then Race has to have that edge.
Yes. So this had to happen for purple to have a chance of qualifying, and there's still purple still has work to do. Purple has to win his match today and then still win the head-to-head against Rase.
And we'll get there, TJ.
Tiebreakers! Boo!
All right.
I get too excited, Dan.
Your parenting skills really coming on full display, TJ. Am I supposed to giggle? Really like a baby for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Ollie really likes being scared.
I do not.
Ollie would have
All
laughed.
right, well, let's check in with Zalae real quick before we make this any further.
Hey, Zalae.
What's up, Zalae? How you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Wow, you're smiling a lot. Is it because you won?
It feels good. It's kind of been a while, you know. I forgot what this was like.
Yeah. Well, so what was it like on your end for playing out this series? Looked like you were locked in the zone.
I mean, this was kind of a sweet one because, you know, for my personal record, it doesn't matter too much. $500, that's really nice. But really what it's about is about Purple's playoff chances. You know, Purple needed me to win this, and I was able to get there for him. So, you know, it's always great to support a friend.
No, for sure. It seems like you're feeling a lot better too. I know you were sick. Did that play a factor at all in your like preparation or kind of your playing?
No, it makes it harder for me to stream because I sound like this. I can't talk too much or else things go south. But as far as playing Hearthstone goes, everything works normally. I felt pretty comfortable.
Good.
I didn't think things looked too bad.
Good. You know, when you were playing this matchup, did you ever feel like intimidated? I feel like based off the way you map things out, it seemed like you were favored from the large majority of this series going into it. Does that reflect in the theory that you had going into this match?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in my playtesting, my very, very extensive playtesting, I won 100% of games. I always heckle botted is Undertaker, and then that made things pretty easy.
All right. Well, I guess your practice games.
Even without
go
that,
really
you
smooth.
still have 100% win rate in the matchup. So
Yeah.
you're looking
Well done.
good.
All right. Well, we know you're sick. We don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything else that you want to add here before we let you go?
You know, it feels good to finally have an interview again. Thank you so much, Frodan and TJ. And I won. I'm the best.
You know
You are the best.
You know the best thing about it, Zalae? There's a chance for you to get another interview
Oh my God, really?
if
Yeah.
you win tomorrow.
If you
I
win
even have
tomorrow.
a favorable matchup. Do you know how long it's been since I had like a just straight up class favorable matchup?
Well, let's not jinx it.
I'm really looking forward to tomorrow.
2 interviews in 1 weekend.
Yeah.
Zalae. That is the ultimate dream for any Grandmasters player.
All right,
I'm
buddy.
excited.
Get some rest. Congrats on the win. We'll see you back later tomorrow.
Thanks.
Love the enthusiasm shown by Zalae. Always a fun guy to talk to. And that's going to do it for match number 3, TJ.